There are going to be more storms, the seas are going to rise. Isn't it better that we have richer societies that can build the sea walls, that can respond to the extreme weather events? I mean, most of Holland's supposed to be underwater right now, for goodness sake. I look at all these maps that people put about and it's like, oh, in 100 years, most of England will be underwater. No, it won't. No, it won't. We'll do what the Dutch did. I mean, surely we need to take some more logical steps here and realise that richer societies are also those that are going to be able to deal with the effects.
Well, you're right. We need a certain level of wealth and engineering skill to be able to respond to climate change. But there's also a flip side to your point of richer societies, and they're the ones that cause the most harm. So your average person in the UK will cause significantly more carbon to be released than your average person in Central Africa. So wealth for its own sake can be quite damaging. The wealth of a country and the skills of a country and its abilities to respond. And remember, when I'm talking about citizens' assemblies, they're not lawmakers. They're just people who give you a snapshot, perhaps, of what real people want to happen, rather than governments who tell us what they think or try and make a case, often supported by media, that this is the only solution that is ahead of us. When this is, this climate change, I'd like to bring it back to the climate change thing. It's going to require us to pull all the levers that we have at our disposal, both the ones that require a wealthy, well-organized, well-structured society, but also one where we try and minimize our impacts on the planet as well, which actually goes hand in hand with living a sort of a more frugal society, as one way of putting it. I'd say it's often a happier way of living as well, rather than sort of totally on the treadmill trying to earn more and more cash.
I'm not sure Tom's convinced, are you? Just before we let you go,
we could talk about
you raised the point. You raised the point, John, about how, in the UK, those who are poorer often are recipients of the damage of climate change rather than the causes of it. And we see that on a kind of global scale. Countries in the global south are far more affected by climate change than those in the global north, but as you said, are responsible for far less in terms of carbon emissions. What can we do to co-define support for those nations who obviously don't have the infrastructure in place or necessarily the resource to invest in R&D and innovations?
Well, we have the advantage, of course, of exporting our skills, once again, our knowledge, our wealth, our engineering skills. But actually, in 2015, the world did agree to have a fund to help uplift or make resilient many of these countries. And 100 billion a year was promised, of which only the UK, even though it didn't meet its entire sort of promise, I think only the UK was the one that had the strength and tenacity and ethical sort of spine to actually pay anything into that. So, yeah, it is a really... if this was easy to solve, we wouldn't be talking about this here. It's a really complicated problem. But that ethical drive is one that has to push us. I mean, I hear a lot about this. It's like, why bother here? We're only a little country, 65 million, 68 million people, whatever. Why should we bother with that? And that's as ridiculous as saying Colombia has got a higher death rate than us, murder rate than us. We shouldn't have it be a crime to murder somebody here in the UK. We need to act here. We've got the skills. We've got the knowledge. We've been working for this. I've been working in my university for over 25 years on this resilience, this idea of maybe designing buildings that can cope with these extremes. And I've been following and helped build buildings 20 years ago, where a bad year is 30 quid on your energy over the year. A bad year. And they cost no more to build than a standard house. The solutions are out there.